Alrighty, my friends. Welcome on in. I don't know if you can hear me. I was playing a little bit of Thriller in the background there. Don't know if it was coming through. That's too bad. Hope you guys are having a good morning. Happy Halloween to everybody. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at what happened here yesterday. Oh, that's too bad. It'll come through on the recording, but I guess not so much just now. Let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to jump back to yesterday, and there actually was a lot of really good stuff that happened yesterday. So let's go ahead and take a look. Here's the zoomed out view of what we're looking at. Oh, you know something? I didn't share my screen. Let's go ahead and do that. Did you guys see the screen? Okay. So beautiful opportunity right out of the open yesterday. If you take a look. Market pulled back right to 50% of the previous day and came up, and really what I'm talking about here was this opportunity right off of the 200 within the first 2 or 3 minutes of the open, right? So we got this beautiful push right into the 200 moving average with a bearish divergence as the market was pulling back, and that would have been a 0 tick risk. You would have got in with 0 ticks of risk and gotten this whole breakdown. So if you missed out on that, there was a tag of the fast moving average there to the tick with divergence as well. So 2 great short opportunities yesterday morning. And then that brings us all the way down to, what do you know, the newest roadmap level we added to the chart quite literally a day or two ago was the low of the morning to the tick. Kind of blows me away too, because I build these levels out and sometimes I feel a little bit uneasy releasing them to everybody, and then we come in and we see them work just like they worked yesterday. So great opportunity there right off of there to go ahead and try a counter trade from that low. And if you did, there was divergence as well, but if you did take that, you got a beautiful bounce all the way back up. So 2 great short opportunities out of the open. You could have tried buying the 50%, but didn't quite touch it to the tick there. And then on the way up here, let's go ahead and zoom this out just a little bit. You can see it was a very aggressive push, right? They couldn't even get back to the fast moving average for the first, 10, 15 minutes of the push. And then from there, you can see it pulled back and actually held fast moving average once or twice in here, 3 times, eventually making it up to the high of the day before. So great opportunities to get in long, I guess back off the fast moving average, but it was very aggressive. So you had to kind of just jump in at some point off one of these shallow pullbacks, and you would have gotten a great trade. And hopefully you took some profit right in front of our next roadmap level at the top here, which you would have nailed the rotation of the morning. So we get up there, and then what do you know? For quite some time there, they parry back and forth between basically Hopeful and the previous daily close there. And then we began the pullback, right? So we've been talking for the last couple days about getting outside of the range from basically the low of last week up to one of our support, our SNRs up here at 58.91. And I told you anywhere between there, it's most likely kind of a back and forth type of market. So what did we see? Heavy selling out of the open. Found a great strong support right off our roadmap level to the tick, and then we got a really strong bullish market, very, very aggressive to the upside. And then next thing you know, well, I think at some point here we get it pullback, right? So on the pullback there, we get a parry right off 58.73, comes back up, and then I marked this here just as I was reviewing this morning, because not only did they pull back to what was a nice retracement here. I haven't been really doing this in our reviews of the morning market, but if you measure the low of the morning off our roadmap level right up to the high of the morning, what do you know? A perfect 38% retracement. I didn't draw that great, but they came right up into it and bounced 1 tick in front of the 38, but it was also the morning high right off of the 200 moving average. So really good opportunity there if you were measuring this with your fibs as the market was evolving throughout the morning there. And then that led, okay, so there it is. So that led to the final bullish push of the morning. where we got the push to retest the previous daily high. So they failed just in front of it, pulled back. There was actually a great long opportunity there right in front of the VWAP and right off our roadmap level. Rejected off the Hopel, came down right to that 38 retrace we just talked about, and then the bulls had one last whimper before the bears jumped in for the rest of the day. So from there, you can see great pullback to the VWAP to break out, pull back to the previous daily close, and then obviously a lot of trouble for the bulls once they got above the previous daily high. From there, that began this mega sell-off that brought us up this morning all the way down to the low of last week, interestingly enough. But on this sell-off here, you can see lots of really good opportunities to short. There was that first tag of the 200 with bearish divergence as we were failing from a major high of the morning. And if you grab that, again, 0 ticks of risk, and you would have captured the whole sell-off. If you zoom out and look here, you know, this ended up going pretty far, right? So where was that? That was about 58.80, let's call it. That brought you all the way down to 58.40. So a nice, you know, just a little 40-point pullback on the S&P. Not too bad. Make some decent money there. And then, as you see from there, there was one other attempt to tag that 200, but failed just in front. Got some tag of the fast moving average on 2 instances here on the way down. And then when the bears got to the 50% of last week, and basically 50% of the day before, which has been right in the same area now for 2, 3, 4 days in a row, they've had trouble. And interestingly enough, got an attempt there to bounce out, right? In the first test, yes, it did duck through, maybe it got stopped out, but then they came right to it, brought it back up and failed just in front of VWAP there. Got a little sloppy in there, but then here is your next tag of the 200 after the crossover. So another great opportunity there, again with a bearish divergence right off that high, where if you got in, you had basically no risk, and another about 10 points or a little bit more than 10 points to the downside before you got to the next expected support. Now, what's interesting here is as the market sold off, this was the next major roadmap level, and sure enough, we found support here for about, what, an hour, almost an hour at the end of the day, where they held in front of it, they ducked through it, and then they held it. And then once the bears pulled price back below there, and we got below it, it then became a pretty relevant resistance here for a very long time, right at the end of the close there, right? So they tested and tested and tested 4 times, and then finally it got very, very messy here in that extended trading hour and just kind of meandered, let's bring this back, meandered back and forth. We did find relevance at the next roadmap level where we got through it, held almost to the tick and pulled back, but then again they brought it through, and then from the upside came back and bounced to the tick right off of it, right? And then over here you can see resistance, resistance, broke through, pulled back, and then we got that last little parry off of it right near the close of the day. So lots of great opportunity if you ask me yesterday, and I was able to get short right out of the open, right off the 200. I don't know if anyone else was able to grab that, but it was kind of staring at us in the face here. If you were watching this in real time, there's the first tag of the 200. Look at all the divergence that was forming, and then finally you get that last little kiss right there with another divergence. So it kind of was pretty obvious to me, and it was a very easy morning, right? So it got a beautiful sell-off from there. Let's see what happened here coming into the overnight session last night. Some good opportunity off of the fast-moving average as we were failing lower. You could have even tried a short off of the VWAP there as we broke below it, and it held again within a couple ticks, but did have to come back up a little bit. And now you can see we are continuing with this big bearish downtrend we saw yesterday into the overnight session, where now we've come all the way back. And what is this level right here? This is that very level that we bounced from. If I was to pull up the higher time frames and take a look here, just so you have the context, so you can see where the hell we are in relation to the previous price action, that is the major 61.8, that I warned you guys back when we were selling off from the all-time high could very well be a great support area. Now, yes, they cut through the 38, they cut through the 50. Might have been some small parries on the short time frames, but that 61.8 was the money maker there, and they held for quite a while. And here we are this morning, right back there, literally a double bottom from that area. So let's go back to this chart. Take a look here. So we get a beautiful parry. And I'll bring this in so we can see the detail here. Beautiful parry off the back end of the fast moving average on the way down here. Beautiful bounce right off that roadmap level, right? And then they got right to that 61.8 retrace we just looked at on the higher time frames. So held, and then finally, as we come into the open, the bulls have regained a little bit of strength, but notice what's happening right at VWAP right now, right? Been a little bit of trouble. So that brings us here to the open. Now I do also want to mention that we did get a beautiful short right off of Hopal here after it printed this morning. Held the FMA, so it should have been a clue that maybe that wasn't going to work out. But now that we're above it, notice how many times this morning the bulls have defended the Hopal to the tick, right? So let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames.